What do you get when you combine a world-class EMS physician and medical director
I speak pretty good English for a guy from Detroit.
with an EMS veteran and all-around nice guy?
Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, my God.
Well, you get the EMS Show. Taking it to the people, here's your host, Dr. Ritu Sani and Mike Vercast.
Well, what is up, party people? Welcome to the EMS Show. I got the two curly-headed guys with me finally. Hey, thanks for joining us a little bit late tonight. There is a story to be told in this whole thing.
Always a story.
Always a story. Absolutely. I appreciate being had. I'm glad to finally be here and off the road again.
Yeah, no, it's been so good. So long time we've been trying to work it out. And in fact, when we were at Wave, I finally had a chance. I did my own private podcast with Ben here, and that was very cool. But it just made us think, man, how long we've been trying to do this little thing. It's been quite a while.
Absolutely quite a while. And you got me. I got you. We got each other.
Here we go. Yes.
Here we go.
Yes, when you're not out doing all the crazy stuff. Well, anyway, it's good to see everybody. Mike Vercast, Dr. Ritu Sani, of course, our guest, Dr. Ben Abo. It is great to see you. I hope you guys are all having a great evening. Thanks for jumping on with us. Thanks for being a little bit patient as we were about 15 minutes behind, but it's been good. And as usual, we're just going to do our little check-in. So it's so funny. It seems like lately, my brother from another mother, this is when we get to catch up when we record, and it's so lame. We've been busy. It sucks.
And that's the thing. Like, life gets in the way, right? But we haven't. When we signed on for our voluminous prep that we do before every show, I was like, I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah,
and catch up a little bit. Talk about the Timberline Conference, which was our local Clackamas County EMS conference that we did here up at Timberline Lodge.
Ben, you wouldn't be interested. There are no snakes, there are no crocodiles, and there's nothing gonna kill you except a giant earthquake or an eruption.
Yeah,
well, that could be pretty big.
Or the thing is I wouldn't really want Ben to come visit. I mean, I love Ben, but I think the likelihood of a Mount Hood eruption would actually increase just by Ben's presence in the area.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You're probably right. I'm not going to deny it.
I think the text earlier was there's a 60-40 chance of something bad happening wherever he goes. So it's almost like the weatherman. Who was the weather guy from the Weather Channel that used to Jim Cantori?
Jim Cantori.
He showed up. He knew some shit was going down.
Yeah. I think it's 60-40 that I will come across something. It's either happening or not. So it's not because I'm there, though. But I have the need to I gotta do something if I notice.
Yeah. So what happened tonight?
So tonight I was driving from Gainesville, which is Central North Florida. I was in my fire department, one of the departments, driving down to Miami. Tons of Florida, Orlando traffic. And then this car, there's construction, one lane closed because I don't know if you know, but the state flower in Florida is the road cone. They just pop up like wildflowers. And I guess they weren't paying attention, but this pickup truck that was lifted just was careening, and then I guess suddenly noticed and just went whoop right into the construction zone, right into the back of one of those asphalt laying.
Nice.
Things. And there's tons of traffic. There was, it was pretty impressive. I got to, traffic was backed up, and I have two trucks, and my new one is I have the Rivian, the R1T, the all electric pickup truck.
I was just looking at that today, sort of longingly.
I can hook you up. There's a certain former Fort Worth medical director that got one pretty quickly because I hooked him up. But mine is the first Rivian emergency vehicle. Contra Costa County in fire department in California actually bought two, but I beat them to it, and I was on calls before they did. But I have I have medical gear, I have the EMS physician gear, high vis stuff, and just last week I put in on a mounted bracket a high lift, not to lift for me if I'm off roading because I won't need it, but I can take a door instead of without the jaws of life with a high lift, pretty darn easy. And I go in, I started taking care
Put a
of the
hip pack into
patient.
place with it too.
Yeah, yeah, I could. But it was long enough without extrication and stuff, and I was able to made myself plenty of room. I started taking care of the patient through the passenger side, and then I was like, well, I get to use this. So I was like, stay here. And I took the driver's door and and I got
Gotta
in
make
and
one
Today
doctor
on your
sound
way to the
super jealous.
the trooper pulls up and he's like, "What? Huh?" And this is somebody that knows me because my old response car was a red and black decked out with lights and the Ghostbuster siren Range Rover. And now I got this and he's like, "Aren't you it what?" And the door? And I'm like, "Yeah, how far out is the fire department here?" Because this wasn't in my area. But so took a bit and then I had to, fill out the paperwork and help them with the accident report. He was pretty hurt, so they were treating it like they treated it like a homicide just in case. And then I got back on the road.
No, geez.
And this is
Rescue 30.
hold on one second.
Patient not alert. 800 Northwest 9 Pine Street. 211 Bravo.
So I wasn't gonna get to where I wanted to be on time to see you guys, so I pulled off. I texted or I called one of my friends from Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. I'm like, Shane, are you working? She goes, yeah. I'm like, I'm coming by because I'm not gonna make it in time for this podcast. I don't want to do it in my car. So I'm coming at you from the 30 house, which is one of Miami-Dade Fire Rescue stations. And they just got a call. That's what you just heard. So yeah, and I'm in the captain's office.
Perfect.
There you go.
And the
So
way
that
I
was
understand it
my
is
event tonight. Yep.
you sort of just busted in and like, here I am. Leave the office, please.
I literally said, I came in, said hi to one of the lieutenants, shook his hand, came into the captain's office, gave her a hug, and said,
Kicked her to the curb.
mine now. And she's like, all right, I'll be out here unless we get a call, then we'll just be back. So yeah,
Turns out they got the call.
they got the call. We're in Miami Shores, and I guess someone's not alert.
Not
Which
a-
around here, you never know. Never know what it's going to be. So already the night's been eventful, but this is the prime time. This is my highlight of the week. You guys.
This is it.
It's awesome.
It's ours too. And I think it's probably a good little segue into I think people have heard your name, people have probably seen your picture. You have such a unique sort of a look.
True.
It's like we're two, right? His long hair, like people are very recognizable. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Like, it probably didn't come across like that. That's what I meant. I promise.
I know what you meant. I think everybody knows what you meant.
I mean, like, because I love Ritu's hair. I want to.
I told you how I got roasted on that podcast not too long ago, right?
No.
Probably.
Oh my God, this is great. So I just finished an in-service on Sanibel Island, one of the islands that got ravaged by Hurricane Ian. It was my first in-service after the hurricane. And I'm wearing like the logo that I made, like Sanibel strong, that kind of stuff. And I was wearing those neon orange glasses that I wore at the conference. I just wore for bright. If you're not aware, they're the brightest of bright neon orange circle glasses, and I'm kind of in this T-shirt. And right after in service, a guy gets bit by a gator, and so I responded to the call, and I got there first before the engine, and took care of him. Then ended up on the news later wearing that. Yeah, it happens. But it's fine. I was at the station. They're like, "Doc, you coming?" And they opened the engine door, and I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm going to my car." So I hopped in my car and I went so I can get there faster. And so I did this news interview wearing those glasses, and then this podcast from outside of Detroit or something roasted me for 8 solid minutes. It was hysterical. It was wonderful. And it was 5 minutes into it that they Googled me and they're like, oh, this guy's actually a doctor. I mean, they were saying things like, he can't really be a doctor. There's no way. Like, did he study at clown school? What did he major in? Juggling? And so, I told him, like, I know I majored in emergency medicine. I only minored in juggling. Like, thank you very much. But so that was definitely the look. Like, can you imagine that the doctor? Like, they would say stuff like comparing to Patch Adams, which is a great honor. But then they're like, his response car shows up and like 15 firefighters get out of a little car. I'm like, yeah, that would be pretty cool, actually.
That's so good. Well, maybe tell the people a little bit that maybe have heard of you or seen you, but maybe don't know exactly what you do. Maybe talk a little bit about your agency, you do, and just all.
Yeah, cool. So,
Where to start?
my
Right?
name's Ben. I'm addicted to EMS. I've been in EMS for about 26 years. Starting as an EMT in South Jersey, and then a medic and flight medic in Pittsburgh area, and lived in India a bit, and Ireland was one of the first medics over there. Because their program officially started at 506, but I kind of did some under the table stuff as an EMT. But so I'm now a Florida manologist. I'm a full-time EMS physician and toxinologist, which I'll mention that in a moment. But I have a number of fire departments and around. So I'm the medical director for City of Naples Fire Rescue, Sanibel Island, Captiva Island, Pine Island, Matlacha, Iona McGregor, and Bonita Springs, everywhere that kind of got ravaged by Hurricane Ian.
Mm-hmm. That's sort of like West Coast.
Yeah, Southwest Florida. I'm also the medical director for the city of Gainesville, which is up in North Central, where the University of Florida is. So go Gators, go figure.
Go Gator.
And I am a local physician asset for Task Force 6, which is the Southwest Florida USAR. I'm the medical director for Miami-Dade, Florida Task Force 1. There is only one. Urban Search Rescue Team, so it's busy Surfside and all. And then I run also the Venom teams, Venom 1 and Venom 2. I'm the primary investigator for Venom 1, which they were around well before, and they got me into all this stuff. And then I started Venom 2 in Lake County in Central Florida. And then I'm also the medical director for Shark Week and a lot of Nat Geo Wild, a lot of filming stuff.
Right.
Besides my own TV shows that I've done or I'm about to work on too. And so that's the toxinologist part. I'm not a toxicologist. I'm not smart enough like some of my greatest mentors, like Jeff Bernstein here at the Miami Poison Center and stuff, but I'm a toxinologist. So those are toxins dealing with from living things, so plants and mostly venom. I'm a venomologist. But I overall like to describe it all inclusive as I'm a Florida manologist. And I legit have done news interviews during COVID on Zoom wearing a white coat that says Florida manologist.
Did anyone ever say anything or like mention it?
No, not yet.
That's the best part.
One
The
of
best part
the
is-
commissioners saw it and loved it, but otherwise no one else has ever said anything, and they keep calling me back on the news.
See, I think that's the best thing when it's just such a like no one notices, but it's there and like that's the best, right?
Well, and you kind of know that they know, but they just don't. They don't want to
They're
say
like,
anything
what?
about it.
Huh? Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah, I don't
"Huh?
know.
Is he serious about that? Is he a clown? Did he go to clown college? Did he go to clown school?" That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, all this, the banana phone and the red nose. And I actually did headshots during residency with the red nose before the pharmacy started doing that stuff. That was my scrub top, embroidered stethoscope, big fro all over, red nose. Yeah.
So good. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I posted that we were obviously doing the live today, and of course in the little graphic I put a bunch of bananas, right? Because I think some people some people
Yeah.
some people sort of got that, and then my old buddy Ryan I used to work with thought we were going to have some deep conversation about hyperkalemia. Which
That
is
would be if I were a DJ, that would be my name, DJ Hyper K.
Hyper K. That's pretty good. It's
I've
probably
said that
taken
for
already.
years before the banana thing, but that totally, it just sounds pretty sweet.
But one of the things that I inquired about when we cast a couple weeks ago was where in the hell did this thing with the banana start, right? And so I thought it was a great story. So I thought you could probably share that again with us and the people that are listening, because it's a pretty good story.
Yeah, absolutely. It apparently it did it too when I was like little and stuff, and over the
who
years.
hasn't?
And well, yeah, right. And I would make some random banana phone calls with Ben Launer, one of my best friends and great mentors. Another EMS physician, and in residency, it's not like Grey's Anatomy where you're like, and I mean, at least where I did residency, the only time I was ever like the Q3 shifts, the 30-hour stay at the hospital, that was during our ICU shifts, ICU rotation. And I don't get to do breakfast and rounds with all the other residents and stuff. And one day, literally, it was my last rotation in the ICU for residency. And I'm having lunch or breakfast with people before we started rounding. I'd seen my patients and I said, "Hey, take a picture of me." And I held, stethoscope. I never put a stethoscope around my neck unless it's for a picture. And took a banana phone picture and I put it online. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this all month long. So I started taking pictures around the hospital as I'm rounding, seeing patients with the neurosurgeon, looking at the CT scan, stopping in the Miami Beach Fire Department, like lecturing, but talking on a banana phone or as a consult all month long. And then my last rotation, I'm like, last ICU shift ever, last overnight at the hospital, unless it's an air shift, last banana phone picture. And there's like this Facebook outcry. I got banana phone pictures from around the world. And so I was like, all right, continue doing it. And then it just kind of became this thing when I would travel and stuff and randomly cheer people up and cheer kids up in the ER, walk in, like they're even adults, like it could be a 92-year-old, like NSTEM, make sure things come down. I walk in, talking to them, yeah, hold on, the patient's here, hold on. So are you feeling better, ma'am? I would do stuff like that. And actually EMSworld.com wanted this certain picture of me getting a patient off the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue helicopter. It's a baller picture. Like, it's a great picture. Someone from the news agency got it from the parking garage nearby, and it's just awesome. Well, I accidentally from the phone sent that picture and a banana phone picture of me in a DMAT tent. And she's like, "We need to post this. We need to do a caption contest." And I'm like, okay. So it's always been, it's just continued and cheering people up. And, I gave a TEDx talk about unlocking your inner hero and humor in medicine and healing and all. And out of the 100-something people that were there, about 80 of them showed up with bananas. And
Oh, wow.
I lectured at I did keynote for Central Virginia EMS conference, and they invited me to the anatomy lab, so I went to go help. That's where I met Alan Yee and Jeff Ferguson, and they're going over the rules of the cadaver lab before going into the actual lab, and they're like, "Please, everyone, turn off your phones." And I'm like on texting my phone, and I look up, and everyone in the room is turned around, looking at me, talking on a banana phone. So it's just continue to be. I'm obsessed with it. I don't even eat many of them, but always get it for the picture.
So good.
That's awesome.
Medic, and he would come into work and he had 10 bananas every single shift that he worked.
What were his bowel movements like?
I'm, probably pretty frequent and loose. I'm guessing. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, we always tell the brat diet to loosen.
Brat, yeah. So maybe not.
Tighten things up. I mean,
When I lived in India, I had a lot of bananas, and then I had some. Things got backed up a little bit because I had so many bananas. But I
Yeah.
find it appealing.
Yeah.
That was good.
Wah, wah.
I'm also known for my dad jokes. So I don't even have any kids that I know of.
And he manages the dad joke within the dad joke. Now, who does
There
that?
you go.
Right?
That was kind of like the guy, whoever invented the word subtle and slipped the letter B in the word subtle. That was genius. Right?
It just took me a second because I thought you said B, and I was like,
Yeah, the letter
P
B.
is
The
As
letter
in
B
bomb.
in the word
Oh.
subtle.
P. Not
Oh,
B.
yeah,
Right.
no,
B
B.
makes sense.
But mhm.
There you go. Well, you mentioned residency, so you two are a member of the Pittsburgh Mafia.
Yep.
So, he's my brother. We're from
412 represent.
we're from the same family, and turns out that we're everywhere and all that. What year did you graduate?
So I did undergrad there in 2003,
Okay,
and then from the EMS program. So that's where I started getting really tight with everyone from EM and EMS.
yeah. So
and
you
then
got
I
the
was-
bachelor's in EMS there
Yeah,
with Uncle Wally, right?
with Uncle Wally, yep. And then and Tom Platt and everybody. And it was actually a pretty interesting time too, because my junior year was my paramedic class. My
Mhm.
first hospital rotation was 9/11. And we had to play. I was in the ER at Presby. So that was a whole like, hey, a plane went down. If there's any survivors that are coming here, have they taught you IVs yet? No? Okay, here, we'll show you. Like, what? And I also met Dr. Saffer, who just like walked in the ER. But so yeah, I graduated there in 2003. And then I stayed on as faculty and staff. So I had two jobs there. I worked for the center. I also was a researcher with Henry Wang. Two separate jobs. And then I worked as a medic in the area for a while. And I was there at the center and would do research. And I was kind of like the self-proclaimed mascot of the residency and fellowship. Ron Roth, Paul Paris, all of them were like fathers to me, especially Ron, and all and Wally. And so yeah, I was there for a number of years, and then they kept asking me, when are you going to med school? And I'm like, well, I finally did it. So, and then I left. That's when I left Pittsburgh.
Right. Where'd you go to med school and then residency?
Med school was in Toro, California, DO school, just outside of San Francisco.
Sure. Okay.
And you guys would appreciate too, by the way, I was applying and I had gone to India for the summer, like extended. And I was high waitlisted in med school, and Henry Wang set this up where he's like, all right, if you get a med school, I got to replace you with 2 research assistants. If you don't get in, then you come back and do research. And then I got back, and I was planning on a stop for lunch with Jim Menegazzi and Henry Wang with Callaway. I just got off the highway, and the next day I'm going to orientation for med school, but it wasn't in yet. They were like, I was high waitlisted. And during lunch, the med school called, and they're like, hey, you want to go to med school? I said, hold on a second. I looked at Henry. I go, hey, Henry, I quit. Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, so med school I got my DO and MPH at Toro, California, where I also invented the mascot, which is a bull with curly hair and a goatee and glasses. And then I took a year off to start an ambulance service in Africa, and then did residency in Miami Beach,
Okay.
at Mount Sinai, Miami Beach.
That's how you got to Florida. Became a Florida manologist during your
Yeah.
residency.
Never thought I would ever live in Florida. And then at first I hated it. And then I moved here right when the guy got his face eaten off. And I petitioned the city. I'm like, hey, you need to rename the basketball team to the Miami Heat. But they didn't go for it. I'm like, you can save 25% in marketing, right? one letter gone. So yeah, but then I ended up like loving it and yeah, staying, and then I did wilderness medicine fellowship while in residency online through my farm, and then EMS fellowship at University of Florida.
Nice.
We talked a little. Oh, sorry, Rich, I didn't mean to interrupt, but we talked a little bit about sort of wilderness medicine, and I think, you know, I immediately started thinking of people like David Pfeiffer and all these guys that are out on mountains and stuff. But I think that, you know, when we talked a couple weeks ago, really, I mean, a lot of these principles. Michael wants to know how the banana phone started, buddy. We covered that already. You should have tuned in.
Should have been here on time, on late.
You're
Late on
gonna have
time.
to rewatch it or listen to the episode. Go subscribe to the EMS show. But really, I mean, I think one of the things is not to over dramatize it, but like you think of Surfside, right? Well, you were essentially doing wilderness medicine on a prolonged, 30-day mission, right?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that fair to say?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I love the environment. I love thinking sustainability. I like just being outdoors. But just like every Jewish kid in South Jersey suburbia is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Super wildernessy.
Yeah.
So there's wilderness medicine as people think of, and there's EMS, and there's wilderness EMS, and there's all this big overlap. And that's what really, being, it was funny, even at the University of Florida, after my fellowship when I was faculty and I would talk about wilderness medicine, doing this, and like, well, when you hike in, Mount Everest, I'm like, never. I'll helicopter up to base camp, but no. And they think, oh, it's just my snake stuff or the tiger, or cassowary stuff. And, but really, it's being resourceful in little to no resource environments. And you can't, I mean, especially Florida has all these disasters, and a hurricane can come through and make it austere. And I don't know if a lot of times I use austere medicine, but it's not just austere. And so really trying to get everyone to think beyond just the environmental heat stroke, hypothermia, drowning, just, how do we get those people? We can have in an urban setting somebody in the water. How do we pull them up onto the boat? What's the best way to do it? Or do we start doing care in the water? So that Pittsburgh EMS motto of great care everywhere. And think like, screw the box. Like, I'm not going to just think outside the box. Like, great care everywhere, anywhere, any which way. I keep meaning to, and I mentioned this when we talked a couple weeks ago, I still need to write that Dr. Seuss rhyme, like, in a box with a fox, wearing goth with Ron Roth. I don't know. I got to remember that one. But yeah, it's, truly that was, Surfside was a great example of, in an urban environment, prolonged. I mean, and that was like I was applying at that time for IST, Incident Support Team for FEMA. And I was talking with Joe Hawley about like, should I do it and this and that. And then this came up, Surfside came up, and it was the ultimate mega code, like disaster mega code. We had psychological first aid issues. We had canines hurt. We had humans hurt. We had a crush. We had burns. We had hazmat air, hazmat fluid. We had hyperthermia, trench foot, rashes, international issues, religious fighting, stolen valor, lightning, hurricane warnings, like prolonged eye care, foot care. It was just, the list was pretty remarkable. And to do that, I mean, it was just under a month, but sure as heck felt a lot longer. Although it'll always be with me either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about it at NEMSP this year. I think you talked more about it last year, right?
Yeah,
or no?
Last year. So we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So last year I did they always save space at NEMSP for like an event that has happened.
Because there always is one.
Yeah, there's always something. So yeah, so I gave my experience of Surfside for NAMSP. And then this year, one of my main stage, so to speak, lectures was about basically like psychological resiliency. And
Yep.
I talked about
I saw that. That was
some
a
of
great,
that.
great talk.
I appreciate that very much. That was you know, and it was my family and friends, especially from NMSP and stuff, that like helped me get through that and all. And yeah. So I talked about Surfside a bit at this past NMSP.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so many directions we could go, Ben. We could talk more about Surfside, and we could probably.
Engine 30.
Oh.
Medical call.
They
950.
didn't even come back yet.
95 Street.
There's two vehicles here. So there's
Oh.
so here at Miami-Dade we have an ALS this is an ALS engine and then a rescue. A rescue
Oh.
is what you and I would call an ambulance.
Right.
I have 3 on each ambulance, but a rescue. If you call it an ambulance is non-emergency transport. So the rescue is out now. The engine's out.
Got it.
Wow. You said they staff it with 3?
Yeah, there's 4 on the engines. There's 3 in every ambulance. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's crazy.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
it's interesting. So and part of that is with they can get with the ISO ratings and everything, and you can get more firefighters on scene more quickly.
Right.
So there's at least 1 medic, if not 2, on each of them. And then also, like, if there's a fire or something, they're the RIT team. So they're all cross-trained. There's no single cert.
Oh, they don't have a
thing.
single
Yeah,
role there.
it's a very interesting, 1900 plus, very interesting department here.
How many stations do they have?
I think they technically have 83, 84. They're running at any time 67 rescues. Then you also have like 2 marine stations for the main boats, 2 air rescues on at a time. They have 4 helicopters, 2 are operating at a time. There's the boats, there's the Venom team, there's the 1900
Not much going
plus.
on.
Yeah, things will happen here.
Yeah, and you're the medical director.
So I am with yes, you will.
Is Captain here?
Captain needed the tablet that I call. So I am not the medical director for Miami-Dade Fire Rescue.
Okay.
I tried to. I was about to. Things were. That's a whole other thing. We'll say offline. But so urban search and rescue for special ops, and the Venom team. And I do consulting for a lot of the other stuff, and I'm very involved with their specialty teams and things like that. But I'm not the medical director for the whole county yet.
Yeah.
Trying.
It seems like,
It's kind of a dream job.
yeah, it seems like you definitely stay pretty busy. I used to think Ratu did a lot of shit, but starting to. I think
Anytime
you did.
anytime
You
I'm
did
like,
do a lot.
hey, I'm doing too much, I just think I'm not Ben Abo.
Yeah. No, it's true. I keep trying to spread myself thin, but I haven't lost any weight doing it. One of the hardest things is saying no, but like, it's funny. I love that the departments down here are my family, and I love it. And I have diversity, and I do get to do a bunch of different things and stuff. And sometimes I look at some of the others that have like big departments, and it's like one department, they're paying for everything, and pay for what you do. And I'm like piecemealing all this stuff and running all over the state and all. And I'm like, yeah, I would love that, but at the same time, I have it pretty great. I put a lot of miles on my vehicles, that's for sure. But yeah, definitely keep them busy.
Yeah, well, that's pretty wild. So for those of you that are listening to some weird sound that's farting or burping or something, I have no idea what that is. I don't know if anyone else is hearing that. Ratu said he was hearing it.
I wonder if it's because if I'm getting messages, if it's because the phone's vibrating.
I don't know. It's weird, but it sounds like it's going.
Let me do this.
Anyway, well, that's
Let's
good.
see.
Yes. Sam says when you love what you do, it's not work. And yeah, I agree
Amen
with
to that.
And that's
Mhm.
coming from an attorney, right? So she really knows what she's talking about.
I do love what I do. And I didn't even mention, and then I get the paramedic schools and then the other side, air egress schools and training. And yeah, it's keeping busy, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm
So how
still
did
getting
you-
that
how
noise.
did- oh.
I don't think that's
Yeah.
I don't think it's
I don't
Ben's
I
phone
don't know if it's
vibrating.
I don't know if it's me and my weird network issues I'm having. I have no
Maybe it is. I'm not hearing any buzzing, but my phone's now on do not disturb, not just
That's-
silent and
it's a strange thing for sure. I don't know. But anyway, listen, we've talked about a lot of stuff, but the people want to know about like stuff like Shark Week and Kings of Pain. How in the hell did you get involved in like Hollywood glamour, like Shark Week, Nat Geo Live? Like what the heck, man? How'd this all happen?
yeah. So Shark Week started about 2015, 2016 when I was still living in Miami, and I always do shifts with Air Rescue and Venom and the Fireboat. And there was a TV show about the Miami-Dade Fireboat in the past called Danger Coast. And they needed, when they filmed Shark Week, it's not like it's just Discovery Channel just sending all these cameras out. They hired different production companies and they buy the show or they design it, whatever. So one of the production companies was the producer that did Danger Coast and went to them and it's like, hey, we need some medics for this. And they're like, cool. Well, we'll only work with this one doc that's like Wilderness EMS, and he's our doc for this and that. And it's okay. So that's when I did my first episode. That was Laws of Jaws. And ironically, that's when I started droning. I had just gotten a drone.
Okay.
And I took off. Do this, Mike?
He's keep going.
Okay. So I set the drone up and I lifted up, landed. I'm cool. We're filming for Shark Week. I'll just play with it on the islands, like in the middle of nowhere. And the camera guys lost their drone, and my medic was like, well, Doc has his drone, and they're like, wait, what do you got? Can you fly it? I'm like, yeah, I can fly it. I can't land it, but I can fly it. So I got some amazing footage. The first time I ever really like used it for more than 4 minutes was actual Shark Week footage. So they're like, wow, this is cool. Like, do you want to be listed in the credits as medical director or medic or drone operator? And I'm like, really? All three. Then they just put me as medic. Anyway, so that's when it started, and we, been doing the safety and writing the emergency action plans, and then really kind of delivering more of a TV concierge emergency medicine, planning the evacuation as need be, or if they have little things like they don't need to go to urgent care and do stuff, and then if I'm not on scene, and even if I have my medics, they can ultrasound and do different stuff, and it just really grew from there for like Shark Week and Nat Geo Wild. At the same time, the History Channel was looking to do this show called Kings of Pain.
Right.
And if you're not familiar with Kings of Pain, basically these two guys go around the world getting bit and stuck on purpose, and I saved them. And they originally wanted it to be like 3 characters, Doc and the guys. It was when it's helped me leave the University of Florida, but yeah, that was nuts. So I did the emergency action plans and all the planning, went around the world for that. And then they wanted somebody, so basically I could talk about the toxins and the wildlife and the misnomers and kind of correct them with stuff. And that's crazy. So that's what started Kings of Pain, which we had a couple seasons of that, which is huge in some of the other countries. And I'm told is the most watched ever show in the history of the History Channel.
Oh, wow.
So why I still haven't gotten renewed for season 3, I don't know. We were gonna, if we get it, we're filming in Florida. But that was crazy. Yeah, so everything led from there. between
Well,
the
they're-
wilderness
they're
medicine, the
having
venom and stuff. There was also the
changes.
Go Big Show,
Uh-huh.
which is with Snoop Dogg, and that's where like America's Got Talent meets Duck Dynasty meets Jackass. It was on TBS a couple seasons,
I
so
missed that.
I was in charge of that. There was a guy like no armed archer, and then there's a guy that would get sleeping bags with rattlesnakes, and an artist with like a Tommy gun. It was weird. That was the craziest thing to write the emergency action plan for. And that was filmed during COVID in Athens, Georgia. The best accident report out of that whole show, believe it or not, was a techie, like one of the lighting people,
Uh-huh.
fist bumped Snoop Dogg and cut their finger on his ring, like one of his diamond rings. But I didn't want to break the COVID bubble, so I needed to get tetanus out there. So you can prescribe tetanus, and they can go and get the shot at CVS. But I didn't want to break the bubble, so I had to like talk to the pharmacy, convince them to give one of my paramedics the tetanus shot that I prescribed to then bring it and deliver. Yeah, it was interesting. I
Oh,
still have
wow.
that accident report.
That's funny. And you said there were a couple other shows coming up.
Yeah,
Anything you can talk
I can
about?
say a little. So we just finished filming Shark Week for this year.
Okay.
And also another season of Shark Attack Files, which is part of National Geographic, Nat Geo Wild.
Mhm.
And Nat Geo Wild does Shark Fest. Shark Week is 1 week. Shark Fest last year was 21 days,
Well,
which is pretty
well, of course.
interesting.
I
Like
mean, they're very
they're on at the
different.
same time, right?
I mean, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So it's funny because I was out with some friends in Naples, and we go to a bar, and there's a guy sitting there, and on one TV is Discovery Channel, and you see me on the screen, and I'm being interviewed, and talking about it. And then on the other TV is Nat Geo Wild, and there I'm being interviewed and talking about like heart rate and stuff. And the guy sitting by himself is sitting there eating, and he's like looking at the TV, looking at me, looking at the other TV, looking at me. He's completely missing his mouth, trying to figure out what was going on. So I was on the two TVs, and then as I'm getting texted from another doc being like, "Hey, the kids and I are watching Kings of Bane." It's been surreal the past 2 years. So I got Shark Fest and Shark Week coming up, another season, and then I'm working on. I can say basically it's going to be a pretty baller EMS travel around the world kind of show. That's what I'm really trying to do. Till we were about to start filming, and then COVID hit. And then a kids show, actually.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow, cool.
So yeah, I'll be about safety and wildlife and some other stuff. When a friend of mine's a producer was pitching this other thing that I wanted to do, they saw footage of me and they're like, "This guy needs a kids show," and I get it. And it's funny because before all of these, I was doing Shark Week, but before all these other shows, I had been approached by someone before, but after my lecture about there we go. At NMSP, when I talked about in 2018 with all the amputations and that stuff, there was somebody at NMSP that was talking about me to his wife and dinner party and stuff, who's in TV is like, "This guy like was speaking and did this and he needs a show." And so then the production company literally cold called me, and they're like, sometimes we make a show based on a person, sometimes we think of a show and we find the person on that.
Yeah.
So we would like to do some testing, whatever. I'm like, yeah, sure. So we set up a Skype because they can record it on Skype.
Right.
And so I set up the Skype call. Now I'm Ben Abo, so obviously I got to do things differently. They want to be like, is your personality colorful? I'm like, you're going to taste the rainbow. So I go to one of my fire stations in Gainesville where we have a tower. It's a 110-foot tower, aerial. Helmet, harness, tower goes up. I'm hanging 10 feet from the tower that's straight up. And I've got a selfie stick and my AirPods. And they're like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just hanging out in Gainesville." And you see like the stadium and the university behind me at 100 feet in the air.
And this is for your Skype, like, hey, just
This-
hang out and talk to us thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So good.
So yeah, so that's what I can say about kind of at least for those shows. I'm pretty excited now about this whole kids one as it's developing. The other one I was like really excited for because like I'm obsessed with EMS and rescue different teams, and we always say to NMSP, if you've seen one EMS service, you've seen one EMS service. Like to go and highlight the different specialty teams and just how culturally it is different, not just in regions of the world, but like the culture of emergency services. I mean, heck, they have 3 on a rescue here. And,
Right.
you know, Pittsburgh is EMS and fire keeps the recliners from floating away. And they're all named Lucas because they do CPR. But, you know, it's so different everywhere else that it just to be able to get paid to go around the world and look at it. I was just in London. I do an online lecture for the Wilderness Medical Society for King's College of London. And when they were asking me to set it up, I'm like, hey, I'm going to come in person this year. They're like, what? Like, yeah, I'll just come out. They're like, okay, we'd love to have you. So while I was there, I just, you know, I made some phone calls and emails and then ended up doing a ride along with London Ambulance Service
Cool.
and seeing that behind the scenes and all. That's what I do in countries when I visit. And, you know, if I can get a TV show out of that, sweet. And just so you know, the caveat, if you haven't seen me on TV before, is the camera adds 10 pounds, and there's always 3 or 4 cameras on me. So that's why I look 30 to 40 pounds
So
heavier.
many.
Yeah.
So many.
And-
So many cameras.
Speaking of cameras, so the Kings of Pain, right? I got to go back to this a moment because you'll really appreciate this. So I write the safety plan. I approve of the wildlife. I help fact, you know, this and that. We go on the hunts to find the wildlife.
Right.
Which was legit. Like we were actually out there, and I'm like, they're like, we're gonna find this centipede, and I'm like, just don't find this spitting cobra.
Yep.
Oh,
Well,
well.
let me text him. That's so weird. Well, I guess on the one side, is that noise gone?
That horrible noise is gone.
Huh. It must have been him. Well,
I will take this opportunity to refill my
he's
beverage.
gonna refill. Lost you. Come on back. Now that was weird. It didn't seem like he had a connection issue.
No, I mean his
Yeah, the video, and
video
everything
was
was
great.
fine.
So anyway.
Oh, there he is.
The 2 of you disappeared from my screen, but I was like, Ritu said to just keep going and act normal, so I just kept talking. And I was really proud that I stayed smooth on that. I thought Mike just disappeared. Anyway, where did I drop off?
You're just Kings of Pain and the cameras. There was 3
Okay.
or 4 cameras.
And then you were you said let's go find the centipede, but don't get bitten by the cobra.
Yes. Okay. So I'm doing all the safety stuff, and we're in Bali, Bolivia, Baja, Mexico, like all this stuff. They didn't prep me to, like, what would you do if you're standing there? You're doing side. Would you just like stand there? I was natural, and I usually teach empathy, right? Sympathy versus empathy. Sympathy, I'm sorry you're in pain, Mike. Empathy is I feel your pain, me too, right? I don't want to be empathetic to these guys. They're getting bitten, stung by on purpose, right? And venomated and just annihilated sometimes. So they caught in the background because I'm right there doing the safety stuff. And it turned into all these internet memes, just hysterical of my facial expressions. People contact me on Twitter, Instagram, just people dressed up as me, 2 kids dressed up as me for Halloween. And they would just go around making faces with curly haired wig. It was hysterical. So they promised that for season 2, they would have a camera devoted to just my facial expressions. And they did. It was nuts. And the best, my favorite ad was on Instagram. German prime time in Germany is 8:15 Thursday nights. That is the ultimate. Mike, I think I had told you about this. That's the ultimate. That was like our TGI TGIF, right? The ultimate time to
Oh,
have
yeah,
a
yeah.
TV show, or like
Yep.
Friday night in the '60s, from what I'm told. I don't know. I was born in '81, so it was the ultimate time. And there's a video montage of my facial expressions, like all this stuff, right? And then with this really hokey, corny music, and at the bottom in Dutch or German, Deutsch, it says, "If this is your doctor's face, you should be scared." It's the best, like with all just the things. And not too long ago, this kid randomly sent me a Instagram message. He's like, "Just so you know, like we made it into drinking games, and we're all obsessed. And you're like in all these memes just because of your facial expressions. We love learning, and yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah, it's always funny what comes up as you like look at stuff. Yeah, so I mean, the top second one was a little bit from it, and then the left there from the TV show. I see my TED Talk, and then after that's the TED Talk, and then that one above
There's some
Surfside.
banana.
Yeah, there's some banana phones. Shark Week.
Surf,
The
CNN.
the one above Surfside was that was when I pulled a guy off the subway in New York.
Wow.
Like, I didn't know if I was supposed to smile or not. I don't know. That was a very awkward thing too.
It's a very New York picture. I'll be honest.
Yeah, right.
It's like that guy's from Florida, but he could be from New York.
These are really funny. You should look. Oh, there's Ben Launer and Jeff Billick. I don't know who the Asian guy is, but that's not me. Type in Ben Abo Kings of Pain face or something like that. I'm curious what's gonna.
Same ones.
I don't know. So, sometimes the tons of expressions come up in the
This one's
memes and
hilarious right here.
yeah. Hey, that's Yinzer Medic. Hey, there's Tom Platt.
Is that this
But
guy?
Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah. I just emailed with him a couple days ago. Yeah.
Oh, there's the 412
Yeah, so-
Mafia right here.
Yes, indeedy. That's what the one with the little beanie on, Yinzer Medic, 412 Mafia. And I'm wearing Pittsburgh
Oh,
rescue
yeah.
shirt. Yeah. So depending on what you type in, or like who you are in your other searches, stuff comes up. But some of the funniest memes, like
Looks
And
like the
then the
related
videos.
search is Dr. Ben Abo gender, Dr. Ben Abo wife. We're both in there. I don't know if you saw that in the
Yeah, I
corner of the
saw that.
screen.
Wife.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, there's been some crazy stuff. There's Rob Lars, the banana phone, and
Yeah.
We had Rob 2 episodes ago.
a
was
couple
on
of photos. If you go up, there's NASP.
There's
Um,
Maya Dorset.
Yeah. The picture next to the banana phone, up a little bit above the Servers Medical Association, that was cool. That was a Shark Week episode called Hunt for Lagertha. We were on a boat. We were 32 hours boat ride west of Costa Rica on the way to Cocos Island, which is actually the island that gave Michael Crichton the idea for Jurassic Park. It would have been 40 hours to get to anyone to the nearest hospital and 1,000 feet up to the nearest dive chamber. Yeah, life's been pretty
that doesn't sound like
crazy.
a good place to be.
No, and of course, before we started filming, the sound guy dislocated his toe, and it's kind of my fault because I called his name because I was trying to order the speaker thing, and I was in the back of the boat, and we're about to get in the water. I'm like, "Is it this?" And he's like, "What?" And he like comes over and he stubs his toe on this fake shark, or it was a fake seal moving thing to attract the sharks to test.
Like a bait.
Yeah. And he dislocated his toe, and I go over. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm sorry." And I told him some corny joke, and as soon as he started laughing and rolling his eyes, I popped his toe back in and buddy taped it. And I said, "All right, let's go scuba diving."
This is too. It's too much. Well,
All right.
we wanted to start a new little tradition here that Ritu came up with, and so we've got 10 or 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
I want-
go.
I want you to run this, buddy.
Okay.
Take us home. Tell the people what we're gonna do, and
Yeah.
let's do it. I'm excited for it.
Well, so this is not our gig. We did not make this up. This is our new segment, our homage to James Lipton of Inside the Actors Studio. If anybody watched that show, it was on, I think, like Arts and Entertainment Television or Bravo or some type of like that, and he would have famous people in who were actors in front of him. He was an acting teacher, sort of like Gene Cousineau in Barry, who would bring in these famous actors and talk to them about how they learned to be an actor in theory and those sorts of things. But he always ended the show with sort of these 10 questions or a version of these 10 questions. Between Two Ferns was actually meant to be a takeoff on Inside the Actors Studio to some degree.
Well, this was the thing. Ritu asked me if I'd ever seen it. And I'm like, I don't think so, but I have seen Between Two Ferns. And I almost sent the one with Amy. What's her name? Amy, redheaded Amy Adams. Amy Adams. If you Google that, it's not probably safe for work. None of these really are.
Well, the Obama Between
the one
Two
with Amy
Ferns
Adams is probably my favorite one.
The Obama Between Two Ferns is classic.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
But so he would ask these sort of same questions, and at the Timberline conference, Ed Rock and I, we did a getting to know you segment with each other, and we asked each other these questions, and it worked really well. So I thought we would start doing our James Lipton Inside the Actors Studio segment when we do these getting to know you episodes. So I'm just going to kind of go through it. And the way James Lipton would ask the question, he had a little bit of thoughtfulness and gravitas in the way he would ask it. So I don't know if I'll channel my inner Lipton or not, but I'll ask the 10 questions here. And they're pretty straightforward, but they're interesting. So what is your favorite word?
I mean, my favorite phrase I say the most is "game on," and I say it pretty quickly, so it sounds like one word. Otherwise, I mean, obviously it's EMS.
Okay.
And beyond that, it's sternocleidomastoid.
Sternocleidomastoid?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a good one.
I like that one. That is a good word. It's fun to say.
Yeah. And the F-bomb is my other
You
favorite
can
word.
say fuck on our podcast. Yeah.
Okay, good. But I can't.
That's
It's not
going to
just.
come up later.
It's not just fuck. It's with the Irish accent. Fuck. Like for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. But we can talk. We're going to talk about that later. Actually.
Okay.
All right. What is your least favorite word?
Boards.
Don't tell me the EMS boards, right? The one that I helped write.
Just boards.
Boards.
In general.
That's a good answer for a physician or paramedic or anybody who has to take a high stakes exam for their profession. So great. So again, I got to ask this more like James Lipton. What turns you on?
Two things. No, three things. Intelligence, capnography, and EMS.
Do you know Matt Neff?
No.
He did his EMS fellowship. He's from Florida. I think he did his fellowship in Florida. He's one of our EMS medical directors here in the Portland area. And if I asked him what turned him on, capnography would actually be one of the answers.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we will have to get you guys connected at NAMSP, and you can talk about capnography quietly in a corner.
It'll be a gas.
What turns you
Sorry,
on?
I'm tweeting that answer out right now. So keep going.
Love it.
What turns you off?
Ignorance, hypocrisy, and can I do my three?
You can do whatever you
Ignorance.
want.
Yeah. Okay. Ignorance, hypocrisy, and bashing ketamine.
Bashing ketamine. I don't know that he would last very long here in Portland.
There's a lot of that, huh?
There's a little bit of that goes on here. What sound or noise do you love?
When my dogs are running excited, like, and I hear the little paws running down across the room, across my tile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Click,
I
click,
love
click,
it because you can hear that excitement, and it's just like that. Just I love it.
Do you have one? You said dogs?
I have two. Yeah, I've got two miniature wiener dogs. Otis is MD 1.5 because my radio call sign's MD 1. And Seamus, who turns 1 year old next week. He's a wired-haired miniature dachshund. He looks like a little man, and that's MD 1.55.
That's so good. You know what my favorite sound is? I know we're not interviewing me, but I have to tell you, and it's hilarious because I saw it on a TikTok. But it is like when you go and pet a cat and they're not expecting you, and they go. "Arr, arr." I love that sound. They're so happy to see you. It's like a little purr and a little meow all at the same time. Great. Okay, there you go.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Loud chewers with their mouth open. Like that just it destroys me. I can't take that.
Not a big ASMR guy then, huh? Not a
No.
What is that called? There's a name for that.
when you hate the sound or when you chew loudly?
Yeah, yeah. There's like a phobia associated with that.
Yeah.
So we may have already covered this next question, but what is your favorite curse word?
Oh yeah. Fuck. Again, with that Irish accent. For fuck's sake.
It's got to be an Irish.
Look at the Latvia. It has to be an Irish fuck, absolutely. Which I can't wait. I'm going back to Ireland on Saturday, actually.
Oh, wow.
Can't wait. Yeah, I'm lecturing at the World Association of Disaster and Emergency Medicine Conference.
The Wadham Conference, yes.
The Wadham, yeah. And which I haven't been to the Wadham Conference since Toronto. And then ironically, Saturday I was with one of my best friends from Dublin. Her and her whole family are here in Naples. So I got to see them the other day. Now while they're here, I'll be over there. Yeah.
Yeah, Wadham used to before PEC was our journal at NMSP. We shared pre-hospital and disaster medicine with Wadham.
Yes.
So I was because the first issue of PEC came out while I was a fellow. So like in 96, I think was the first issue of PEC. And somebody in this conversation may have had the first article in the first issue of PEC. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, he was super humble, whoever it was.
Really?
Right there. I have it somewhere here. Yeah, me and
I'm
Vince
have you
Massesso.
sign it. Oh, Vince!
Me and
I
Vince
love
Massesso.
Vince.
Who doesn't love Vince Massesso?
I know. Yeah, seriously. He. Oh, gosh.
I don't know how you
love
can do
the
anything
412.
but love Vince Massesso.
It's true.
Because he's
It
one
is
of
so
the
true.
nicest, sweetest men I've ever worked with in my life.
Yeah,
and a brilliant
absolutely.
EMS physician. So
yes.
All right, we may have gotten a glimpse into this already with Dr. Abo here, but what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would say, like a, no, flat out. I want to be a musician. I would totally want to be a musician.
Do you play
what
an
instrument
instrument?
would you play?
I play drums and piano, just not at the same time. I tried that.
Yeah.
Well, and
I'm a
Mike
bass
V plays
guitar
bass.
drum guy. In
Yeah, and
Sweet.
yeah, and
fact, it's right there.
I own a guitar, but have no idea what to do with it.
So when I was doing a talent show in high school, I just started singing and doing so I did piano and drums for a long time. We sang Extreme More Than Words.
Oh yeah.
And so there's the four of us on stools and we're all singing it and everyone's playing guitar except for me. I'm just sitting there holding the guitar until I got to the other part where I just flipped the guitar over and I did the two knocks.
Boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing I did with the guitar the entire time.
So
we did a show. Mike and I did a show in Salem for the Oregon EMS conference, and I brought my guitar and I put it on and I never did anything with it the whole time.
it was great. Everyone was waiting for him to play it, and he just never did. And
Can we make a pact? Can we make a pact to all do this at the next MSP?
Not play guitar?
Yeah, like bring an instrument, not play it.
Just bring it to the bar.
Yeah,
so good.
just put it on the stage. I'll put it next to the podium. Like, I'll come out with my like bright purple ukulele.
Yep.
Yeah. No, we did that, and yeah, there was a lot of like, I can't wait to hear Ritu play because I'm sure it's gonna be terrible. I'm like,
And
terrible.
you know who ended up playing it at the
I
end?
was doing it even a little bit.
Do you remember Tyler grabbed it at the end and played "Wagon Wheel" by Darius Rucker?
He did.
Yeah,
He did.
Nice.
that was that and Wonderwall. I think were his two songs.
Yeah.
That he knew.
So yeah, I would love to be I would love to be a musician, but I would have to learn how to play music first. What profession would you not like to do?
Trash collector.
Somebody's got to do
Somebody's
it.
got to do
No,
it.
I respect them. I thank them for it. It's not going to be me. I'm done with the smells. We get enough of that.
We get enough of that in the emergency department. All right.
Yeah.
And then again, the last question in the inside the actor studio, James Lipton. And I think we're going to keep doing this because I think it's
I think
good.
you should.
Yeah, we
This is
should.
fun.
Yeah. So if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Probably like, dude, no banana phone?
When you show up, God's
It
going
would
to
have
have
to
a
be-
banana phone.
Totally.
And
Totally.
and then when God speaks to you on the banana phone, you will be able to hear her in your banana phone.
Yep.
That's how
Yep.
that's going to go down.
That's when I'll know that I'm heading to heaven. If it's my bananas flambe that's talking to me, I'm going the other way.
So yeah. So that's the James Lipton Inside the Actors Studio that segment. And again, I think we're going to have to put together some sound and graphics for that when we keep doing that. But I think that worked well.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, let's see if this thing works. I haven't done one of these in a long time.
Here is the final word with Mike and Ritu.
oh
We spare no expense here at the EMS show.
wait, this isn't a rant. That's a different one, right?
Right, that's a different one. That is this one.
Yeah. So because we're not going on a
This
rant
one.
here.
Ritu's hot medical director take.
That's the rant one.
All
there.
right. Well, but for the final word, I mean, I think before Mike takes us out of here, I think we should turn it over to Ben, our guest, and kind of say what's the final word you have for us tonight?
The final word, sternocleidomastoid. No, I'm kidding.
Sternocleidomastoid.
My final word is just keep growing and keeping at it. Like whatever it is you want to do it and keep on keeping on.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
It's pretty good. Buddy, thanks so much for taking some time with us tonight. I know it's late there in Florida.
Thank you. I appreciate being had. Well worth it. If the engine's back, I'm gonna say hi to the guys and gals and then mosey over to headquarters in the morning. In my whirlwind, like we've got a great speaker here speaking tomorrow for the union, and then Wednesday I'm running a hands-on drill for all my med specialists for the urban search and rescue team. Oh, do I have got some fun stuff in store for them?
Oh, good.
So good.
Yeah. So safety third with that, and I appreciate it. I'm honored, and thank you again.
Well, thanks for joining us. And
you
thanks
should-
for all the stuff you do, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good ambassador for our
awesome.
specialty to the rest of the world. Really appreciate that.
Thank you. That means a lot.
For sure. And don't be a stranger. If you're not out gallivanting all over the TV, you should come back and hang out with us some more.
You can take it as a promise or a threat.
Always welcome to
Okay,
join
take
us.
it as a promise. Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure. All right, I'll get us out of here. On behalf of Dr. Ben Abo, Ritu Sani, Mike Verkest, you've been watching and listening to the EMS show. We will see you on the next episode, which, by the way, will be during EMS week, where Ritu just gave me some breaking news. You wanna
Breaking
share it with
news
the
that
people.
Our special guests for EMS week will be the Sklar brothers, famous comedians
heck yeah.
from and Michigan grads.
Yep.
Really?
So that's going to be
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're friends of mine.
What?
Yeah.
Cool.
So join us during EMS week.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll actually
Yeah.
start promoting it before
Sooner
the
than
day
later.
ends.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. All right. We'll get
Love
us
it.
out of here. You guys all take care.